Today I'm taking you behind the scenes of a simple portrait session with my toddler in the park on a cloudy day that turned into something magical. Hey, I'm Sylvie and welcome to my channel. I'm a mom in my 40s to a nearly 2.5-year-old little boy and a senior bestie by my side. After becoming a parent, I found myself longing to reconnect with my creative self, and really this is where this space begins. On this channel, I would like to share photography tips, editing tutorials, seasonal photography inspirations, and maybe some glimpses how I am turning my passion for photography into a business. And so for my very first video, I'm taking you behind the scenes to a photo shoot with my toddler and going to share some tips along the way and the final image at the end. I like to spend a few minutes before each session to gather some visual inspirations and deciding on the color palette, the mood I want to create, how I want the final image to feel. I usually use Pinterest for this. I pulled together a small Pinterest board. These images are actually of dogs, but I was drawn to them for their composition and storytelling. This one, for example, really captured the summery magical tone I was aiming for. This one helped me visualize the exact type of scene I wanted to use, though I knew I'd focus more on Cammy's face, like in some of the other references. A few of the pins also helped me narrow down the clothing colors and tones I wanted for him. Soft greens, warm, neutrals, textures that would blend naturally with the environment. As with most sessions involving my little one, I like to keep them less of a structured shoot but more of a play session, and just let him explore, let him run around and play and tire him out, and then hoping that along the way I can capture some magical frames as well. On this morning we headed out to a nearby park, had breakfast there, we had a play session there, we made sure our dog Danny got his walk too, and then after that we headed to a spot that I have been keeping in mind, which was a little patch of wild white flowers, and I really liked how the bright greens and soft yellows created a summery feel. It's simple, but you really don't need much more to create something magical. We headed out late in the morning for this photo shoot and it was overcast and cloudy. And most people would think that cloudy skies are not great for photography. However, really it is the best tool to have, especially when you are working with young children, because you can head out any time of the day and you will get a soft and even light on your subject, which can be really flattering. If it had been a sunny day, then you have to be very mindful of at what time of the day you are going out. It has to be very early in the morning or just before it gets dark, which can be quite challenging when you are already thinking about nap times and bedtimes. If you head out during the day and you have the bright sun, then you can end up with bright whites or those blown out highlights on the picture that can easily distract from the subject. So really, a cloudy sky is a perfect tool that a natural light photographer can have. Clouds really act as a diffuser for the sunlight. For this session I took my 85mm lens with me, which I like to use for portrait session. It's one of my favorite lenses for that. My aperture, I kept it at 1.4, which gives you that soft creamy background that you see in most of the portraits, but really you can use anything between 1.4 to 2.8, which will give you same or similar effect. As for my shutter speed, I set it at 400 or around 400. You really want to keep it as high as possible when you are working with moving objects like toddlers, to avoid any motion blur, and because of this I usually like to keep it at least 300, but really as high as possible as the light allows. And for my ISO, I set it to 0 to help me with any slight light adjustments as you are outside and you really can't control the sun. One of the simplest ways to create a stronger connection in your images is get down to your child's level. It takes the viewer into their world rather than looking down from yours, and just that slight change in perspective can create a lot more engaging and emotional image. That said, don't be afraid to experiment, because sometimes shooting something slightly above or from below can create interest or context in your images. Young children don't always follow instructions, and that's completely normal. If you want them to look into the camera, it often takes more than just asking. A silly face, a funny sound, or getting them to copy your expressions can go a long way. My toddler is nearly 2.5 and he's getting better at following instructions. However, it still really depends on his mood. For us, something that worked is if I say happy face is a cue for him to start acting silly and in a jokey way, which often leads to some natural and joyful expressions. On this particular day, he was actually quite happy to follow instructions and get in amongst the flowers and look in the camera, which isn't always the case. So I often like to prepare with some props, like a bunch of flowers, that can help him or give him something to focus on. And even if they are not looking in the camera, they are engaging with something, and that can also lead to some magical pictures of just them being themselves and interacting with something. When photographing young children, you have to be quick. The moments come and go fast and they don't always return, so you really have to capture the moment when they come. And also because of the same reason, I like to keep my photo sessions short, quick and light-hearted, and not put so much pressure on capturing the perfect photo. Let it be more just a playful exploration with him, not going into it too many expectations, which from experience I can tell can only lead to a lot of frustrations and an upset toddler, which is not a nice place to be. So just have fun with it. Don't set high expectations. Just let them play, let them explore, and really that is when the magic happens. And here it is, the final image. I love this portrait, his cheeky smile, the light, the summery mood. They grew up so quickly, and photos like this help me somehow document how he's changing with every season. Thank you so much for watching and coming with me for this session, and I would like to know if you are planning to document more of your family live this year, and if so, what would you like to capture this season? If you enjoy photography, editing tips, seasonal inspirations, photo shoots with dogs and children, creative reflections on motherhood, this is exactly what you will find here. I will be sharing how I edited this image, how I create seasonal photo stories, and what it looks like build creative business in my 40s. If that's something you would love to follow along with, I would love to have you here. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you in my next video, hopefully. Bye!